For the honorable member, Mr. Seepaul, Narine.
Mr. Speaker, I grew up with my grandmother, and she told me, religious leaders, you must exercise some tolerance towards them. So my friend, the honorable member, who is a pandit, I will have some mercy on him. And just to answer him in a few words, I have to be merciful with him. Sir, I just want to say something. He said that we need help to make a better life for our people. He's from Barbies. I was in quarantine on Sunday. The number 71 village mandir invited the public at large to come and have some curry, free. Have you ever seen that before under 𝐁𝐔𝐃𝐆𝐄? And why are you saying it now? Because the quality of life of people is better. And they are able to improve and to give back to society and sometimes the vulnerable. You talk about the labor laws being flouted. Well, sir, I will give the honorable member an excuse because he have no idea about how the Ministry of Labor operates. He never had the opportunity not even to go to the ministry and represent an employee at conciliation, much less as a policy level. And then I wish to remind him that it was the 𝐁𝐔𝐃𝐆𝐄 that made the Ministry of Labor the first time in history a department. And sir, I have no doubt with the honorable member being the shadow minister, it will remain in the shadow. And the workers of this country will never see the day of light in terms of justice. Sir, you know, I sympathize with him because he wasn't listening when Minister Hamilton pointed out what the Ministry of Labor is doing. How many people we have trained and the labor offices we have all across this country with staff, not only desk and furniture. So I will not belabor my time too much on him, Mr. Speaker. I wish to begin my presentation by congratulating my colleague, the Honorable Dr. Ashni Kumar Singh and his team. I dare say the wider PPPC government as well, for an exemplary job developing a historic, all-encompassing budget that uplifts our people's life. Sir, Budget 2025 comes as the PPP observe its 75th anniversary as a political party. Over that time, the party always placed people, yes, ordinary people, at the forefront. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, Budget 2025 remains faithful to the party's ideals set out at its foundation. At the same time, sir, it consolidates progress and builds a prosperous nation and a sustainable future for all Guyanese. Sir, the budget exemplifies the party and government unwavering determination to ensure a brighter future for all. I mean all, irrespective of their political shade or stripe. His Excellency the President on January 1st this year put it well when he said the party's vision is, quote, for a Guyana where every citizen has a stake in its future, end of quote. Sir, sadly, despite the olive branch extended to the opposition, excluding the Deputy Speaker, they have refused to participate meaningfully in our nation's development. Rather, sir, they choose to engage in petty, divisive politics. As much as they are associated with the word oppose, they oppose without offering justifications or alternatives. Mr. Speaker, I've had to ask myself whether the honorable opposition members are really serious about representing their constituents. This does not seem to be the case, but sir, the winds of change are blowing, and some of the honorable comrades have come to their senses, supporting the people-centered plan of this PPPC government. Mr. Speaker, the honorable opposition leader, and I want to wash him in the face and say this, in the January 18, 2025 Culture News, described the budget as lacking. So I wondered, sir, whether he and I were reading the same document. The Honorable Mr. Narine reportedly said that the whooping 30% increase in the income tax threshold would not benefit the ordinary man, though in the same article, he said the threshold should be significantly increased. Sir, he must have missed that the 2025 adjustment relieves 22,000 workers from paying taxes, placing an additional $8.5 billion in their pockets. That's almost 400,000 more for these workers annually. Additionally, per worker. Additionally, reducing the income tax rates put another $3.6 billion in workers' pockets, and a further $1 billion will accrue to families with children. Furthermore, sir, $1.1 billion will be kept by our hard-working workers who work overtime or a second job. Aggregately, those interventions alone will enrich the working class by a further $14.6 billion. Evidently, sir, the honorable member could not have been reading from the document presented to this august body. In the same Culture News report, the honorable member described the old age pension as a joke. The fact is that this PPPC government doubled old age pension between 2020 and 2025, a far cry from what the APNU AFC government promised in its first 100 days, but could not deliver in 5 years. I also observe Shadow Minister, Finance Minister, the Honorable Jurita Finance, describing Budget 2025 as cut and paste. Sir, she, like her leader, had to be reading some other document. Mr. Speaker, the PPPC program is eloquently captured by the budget team, a secure, prosperous, and sustainable Guyana. This theme encapsulates the budget's programs, policies, and speak to the PPP's trust since its formation in 1950. This budget builds on the advances of the past and present PPPC administration and provides a practical plan for our nation. This in stark contrast to the collusion budget, which lacked coherence and vision. The Honorable Member Finance brushed aside the coalition poor performance, contending that their aggregate spending was less than 2025 budget. We should not forget, sir, that the coalition spent some $1.2 trillion during its term. But what can they show for that money? Where are the benefits to our people? Mr. Speaker, the honorable members on the other side of the House gets aggravated when it is said that they did nothing. So, sir, I will not say that, because they did a lot. Yes, Mr. Speaker, they did a lot of evil things.
That's correct.
Sir, in their 5 years, only 7,000 Guyanese benefited from house lots, a number this PPPC government surpassed in less than 1 year. In their time too, sir, not one single secondary school was completed, with several being built under this government. Not one well in the hinterland was drilled, and the list of strategies can continue. Unlike the sordid past of the PNC, APNU, AFC misrule, this budget, like previous PPPC budget, was excitingly anticipated as Guyanese look forward to what new benefits would be rolled out. Indeed, this budget has not failed to deliver. This is a working people's budget. This is a budget with no new taxes, unlike when APNU AFC imposed massive increases in taxes and fees on the backs of the ordinary people. And what they did with the wealth, Mr. Speaker, they rented a bond, yes, a condom bond, from one of their friends, and lavishly spent on food and refreshment. There is the infamous Durban Park, the scales reportedly purchased from a backer, those unsuitable drainage pumps, and not forgetting the 7,000 odd workers they put on the streets, sugar workers. Sir, they use every opportunity to pinch from the treasury. I use the word pinch, sir, because I cannot use the unparliamentary word to properly describe their actions. Sir, it is not about how much you spend or did not spend, but it is how it was spent. Without hesitation, Mr. Speaker, I say that the PPPC administration, past, present, and no doubt future, have and will remain allied with the people, putting their interests above all. The PPPC is spending to ensure that greater development reaches all Guyanese. In drawing a contrast, Mr. Speaker, I wish to point out the following. In 2019, the education sector was allocated 53.2 billion. 2025, 175 billion. 229% increase. Health sector, 2019 allocation was 35.9 billion. 2025, 142.3 billion. 297% increase. Housing in 2019, 1.7 billion allocated. 2025, 112.6 billion. 6,523% increase. And water in 2019, 2.9 billion allocated. Allocation in 2025 is 23.1 billion, representing 696% increase. These numbers tell a story. They are a clear demonstration of bettering our people's lives and ensuring that the nation's wealth is used judiciously. New hospitals and schools are being built, and roads and bridges are being repaired and rehabilitated. Government services are expanding. Life is becoming easier, and the Guyana we dreamt of is quickly becoming a reality.
That's correct.
Mr. Speaker, workers in particular have not been excluded from the whirlwind of activities. This year alone, in addition to previous initiatives, workers and their families will benefit from an increase in the school child grant, the introduction of a universal health voucher, support for newborn babies, the abolishment of bridge tolls, the highly anticipated reduction in electricity tariffs, increased income tax threshold, and lower tax rates, exemption of income tax on overtime and a second job up to 50,000 respectively per month, among other things. Alongside these improvements, sir, workers' pay levels are ascending. Through collective bargaining, the government and several unions have concluded multi-year agreements which advance substantial improvements in workers' earnings. This is apart from improvements in several other benefits accruing to the workers. Between 2024, sir, public servants have seen their aggregate earnings increase by $100 billion, a substantial jump. Of course, the members, again excluding the Deputy Speaker, will lament these improvements. A few weeks ago, Honorable Member Ms. Coretta MacDonald, speaking at an opposition leader press conference on December 13, 2024, claimed that the government does not understand collective bargaining. I am unsure what she meant. Sir, she must have lost her way, because there are several images and videos of the honorable member wearing another cap and engaging in collective bargaining with the Ministry of Education. Those engagements led to a multi-year agreement, which he alluded to at the same press conference. Mr. Speaker, permit me to ask the Honorable Minister of Education if I should let the members on the other side of the House know that their MP was offering herself to be the PPPC Prime Ministerial candidate. Sir, I have to ask my colleague and friend which cap she will choose to wear, MP or General Secretary, as clearly her union rules prevent her from wearing both. Mr. Speaker, with pride, I wish to say to this House, our Prime Minister is a man of integrity with no baggage. But unfortunately, I cannot say the same thing about my colleague on the other side of the House. Mr. Speaker, the opposition has sought to discredit Budget 2025 without any rationale. I ask, aren't these elected leaders not seized with any responsibility? Are they concerned about the well-being of our nation?
Honorable Member, for you to continue, you'll need 5 minutes and conclude.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to ask for my colleague to have 5 minutes to conclude. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Teixeira. You may proceed, Honorable Member.
Mr. Speaker, these questions are important, as in a few months, the people of this country will be called upon to elect leaders committed to the people. I'm confident that the Guyanese people have seen through and through the facade and will democratically elect the PPPC for another term in office to ensure that the program of development exuberantly implemented by the government is sustained. Mr. Speaker, I cannot discuss Budget 2025 without addressing the sugar industry. The industry's performance in 2024 had not lived up to expectation. Under the new leadership of the new CEO, several interventions are being made to improve production and productivity. This demonstrates a new level of thinking and innovation was being pursued. Additionally, this skill set is being augmented by technical support from Cuba and India. Sir, I am aware that several efforts are underway to enhance revenues. I'm advised that the industry's focus on value added will be strengthened this year and new product lines will be launched. There are also efforts to increase market availability and expand into new markets with the region and beyond, particularly among the diaspora in North America. These are tangible efforts to reorient the industry towards greater direct consumption sugar, which attract premium prices. Additionally, efforts to cultivate new high-yielding varieties, new planting techniques, and greater use of drone and aircraft in herbicide and cane ripening will expectedly reduce costs and improve productivity. A significant development is mechanization, which holds great promise. Several thousands of hectares of lands have already been converted, and Budget 2025 anticipates continuing this process. This initiative is important for the industry to remain competitive and to enhance the productivity of its workers. Mr. Speaker, consistent with its commitment to its manifesto this year, the PPPC government will advance efforts to resume cane cultivation at the Skeldon Estate. Sir, you will recall that the coalition government closed the Skeldon Estate, Rosal Estate, East Demerara Estate, and Wales Estate between 2016 and 2017. Some 7,000 sugar workers were put on the breadline in the largest retrenchment exercise in post-independence Guyana. Already, the PPPC government has reopened Rosal Estate, and in a phased manner, operations at Skeldon Estate will restart. This is what commitment is about, Comrade Speaker. Comrade Minister of Agriculture, you have returned the smiles to the face of thousands of Guyanese in the sugar belt. Thank you, and thank you, PPPC government. Against that background, Mr. Speaker, I fully support the allocation of 13.3 billion to the sugar industry. The legacy of resource starvation and spitefulness under the coalition still haunts the industry. Essential components were left to fail, investments in the field and factories were restricted, and the workers were treated as outcasts. Had the coalition sustained the momentum of 2014 and 2015, which it inherited, today we'd have been talking about the sugar industry in a different way. Rather than to continue to nurture the industry, APNU AFC turns its back and waited for its collapse. The importance of sugar to the country, and particularly to the communities in the sugar belt, cannot be underestimated. The scars of closure and joblessness still haunt many who are affected. I'm heartened that the vestiges of the estates with teeming activities have returned at Rosal, and soon in a greater way at Skeldon. Indeed, sir, for me the closure period of 2016-2017 was one of the most depressing periods of my life. I participated in the redundancy meeting with the workers and saw men reduced to tears when told they were being sent home. I bonded with the workers and their families on the picket lines, marches and meetings across the sugar belt. Mr. Speaker, it was a period of heartlessness, a dark time in the history of our nation. Today,
Don't want to be heartless, but I'll give you 30 seconds to conclude.
indeed, the budget has set the bar high, and much will be done in the coming weeks and months. At the end of it all, there will be a bright future for all Guyanese, both present and future. I thank you very much, Comrade Speaker.